My name is Valentin Popescu and I'm a student at the National Art University of Bucharest. My presentation will be about the less known modernist architect of Interwar Bucharest. His name is Heinrich Schoenberg. The interwar modernist architecture of Bucharest is a source of pride, and it is pretty well researched. However, some of the modernist architects are less known. An article was published in August 1932, which made public the opinions of an anonymous architect in the matter of modern architecture. Among the buildings that illustrated this article were two designed by an architect named Henry Shoenberg, which was probably the anonymous architect. The anti-Semitism of the period explains why this architect, eager to assert himself, chooses anonymity and finally leaves the country in 1939. This is an image of the article, and this is the translation. A few lines about this new style that changes the appearance of the city seemed necessary to us, and we asked one of the architects who are promoters of the new movement. The following lines are his clarifications. What a few years ago seemed like madness, a defiance of good taste and holy tradition, a poor wandering, is today the standard, the style of the age. This was written in the Romanian Illustration magazine. And it is interesting because the architect is described as a promoter of this movement, promoter such as Marcel Iacob, for example. This is another quote and images of the building where Schoenberg lived and which he designed. Introduced in the country by a handful of brave architects who took on the ungrateful task of forerunners, it is today almost exclusively applied. Today it is still too connected to the individual creator, to his sensitivity and to the country in which he studied, and why not to the magazines he subscribes to. The modern style, rooted in the specific Romanian sensitivity and adapted to our climate and needs, will be the style that will give the appearance of tomorrow of our capital. Signs have started to show. And we see that the architect was envisioning a future of a modern style adapted to the needs and the climate of Romania and Bucharest. It is interesting to note that although he was the eldest, some of his brothers are better known, such as Irma Wolf or mathematician Isaac Jacob. In May 1929, Schoenberg organized an exhibition. It presented a modern house with 2 rooms on an area of only 15 square meters. in the Editura magazine of 1926. It has published a project for the Bucharest City Hall competition, designed by Henry Shoenberg and D. Walter. It is traditional, but not as traditional as other projects in the competition. So, Schoenberg was a graduate of the Technische Hochschule in Munich. His diploma was acquired in 1929. In this year, he exposed at the Bucharest Architecture Exhibition with the project for the Palace of Nation in collaboration with De Walter. It is interesting that the Criterion Association meeting in the same year of the article we discussed, 1932, had a meeting concerning visual arts and architecture that took place at Mr. Schoenberg House on Boulevard Ferdinand, number 24. There were discussed questions about how the section would work and the conferences that were to be presented. This is the Schoenberg building, designed by himself, and where he lived. And this is probably a photo of his own apartment. This photo is of a villa, unidentified, but from Bucharest. Heinrich Schoenberg's badge for the professional body of Romanian architects from 1934. The most interesting project of this architect is the Soviet Union Embassy in Bucharest. Although the Soviet Union ambassador Mihail Ostrovsky was accused of giving the architect Rudolf Frankl the opportunity to design the embassy, it is more likely that it was designed by Henry Shoenberg, as it appears in the official papers. The initial project was made by a Russian architect, but he didn't have the right to sign in our country. And this is a view of the Soviet Union embassy. Modern and also traditional, such as the projects for the United Nations.